Hello everybody and welcome back to PSGL PSF2. As you can hear, my dog is incredibly excited about this race that we're about to have. But we're here in Suzuka for round number 9 of this 12 race season. Just 4 rounds to go, including this one. We've already got a retirement from the session, so that's a good start. But hello to everyone in the chat. I am your commentator, Ghost, as usual. I was away last week. Well, not away. I was with PSF1 last week, but back to my roots today. And I'm here this week with Logan. How are you doing, bud?
Oh, it's good to be back. They can hear me on the stream, right? Just make sure.
They should be able to if you've got your settings all right.
Yeah, I do. I always have them set to sharing voice. But yes, it's glad to be back. Been away a while. I actually been in Italy for the actual Formula One, of course, which was the Italian Grand Prix, won by Max Verstappen by 19 seconds. I witnessed the fastest qualifying lap ever, the fastest lap, and the fastest race in the history of Formula One. So I could say I've seen a world record.
There you go. I mean, you can at least say you've seen something from that awful race. But
not awful.
Oh, well, I mean, for a lot
Most
of it...
races are awful anyway.
Well, you're not wrong this year. But Richard Vickers is going to be the first driver to get us on a lap this week. Last week we had a shock winner. It was the PSF4 or F3 champion, Nico, who's been lackluster all season long, battling for the last points paying positions each week, but he managed to take the win last week in a shocking but incredibly impressive result. But Richard Vicker is going to be first to take us for a lap of Suzuka. And Logan, I wonder if you could take us around a lap of this historic circuit.
Yeah, there's one of the greatest tracks in the history of Formula One, but as you can see, it's pretty difficult to overtake around. Going around the first 2 corners, going straight into turn 1, braking a bit into turn 2, and then the famous or infamous S's. You've got to get your angles very nice on this one, especially on the curbs. Do not overdo it or you will be becoming a cropper. Up through Dunlop curve and then on towards the 2 Degner curves. Precise braking and steering is required. Don't jump into the gravel. You see someone has by looking at the gravel lines there. And then into the hairpin, taking a right and then a sharp hairpin. You have to nail on the spot if you want to get the optimum time gaining from that. Then around this long curve before the spoon curve. One of the more iconic corners on this track, but there's another one after this. He's invalidated, but we might as well go through the rest of the lap. I think he's still pushing. Gets around spoon curve and then up towards the infamous 130R, one of the fastest corners flat out in the world, and especially in Formula One. And he gets around pretty nicely, but unfortunately it's going to be invalidated through the final corner, the Casio Triangle. I like chicane before the final corner. DRS open at the end of the only DRS zone. And that is a lap of Suzuka, unfortunately, will not count.
Indeed, it won't. A 26.4. So let's see if anyone has the lap time for that. And, well, last week's race winner does. Nico, a 26.3 straight off the bat. Where has this pace come from the Aston Martin driver? Goodness knows, but it's great to see. Raphael up to P2. We've got a few F4 drivers, I believe, bolstering up the grid today in F2.
Yes.
But we're right on board with the championship leader, Ivan Eskrig, as he heads into the final sector, 109.4 in the middle sector. He's not leading by much, just 4 points ahead of his nearest rival, Max van der Geest, who is also here today, as Ivan comes through the final chicane, the Casio Triangle, and down towards the line. What's it going to be? No one's close to Nico so far. Ivan Eskrig still isn't close, 3.5 tenths away for the championship leader, and I don't know where this has come from Nico, but there we go. Sepala, there we go, though, beats him out to provisional pole by 0.08 of a second, a 26.2 from the Alpine driver. Christian to P3. There there's Lars Kramer, another one of the championship contenders, up to third place as well. Benjamin up to the line for P9. IRT Phil all the way down in 10th for now. Not a good opening lap from him, but Max van der Geest, he's shown some real pace this season. A few missed races has cost him dearly in the points, but he's back to the top of the standings at the moment. A 26-1. It's well clear of everyone else so far.
Yeah, we have no reason why Edvin Naslund is starting from the back. He did retire from the session. I wondered if he has a qualifying ban. He does not. There were no stewards findings from the last race, if I remember correctly, so I do believe he's probably done it on his own accord, doing a last to first perhaps, but Max van der Geest still at the top with his stable teammate, M. Sipla, up there as well. Just looking to see who's on a lap. It looks like Zane is currently on one in that Ferrari, but he is invalidated. Jordan DHL, not the company GHL, which sponsors F1, he's not on a lap. I think he's going to be either coming in or starting another one. He's got too little battery in the tank, I can see, so I don't think he's going to be going for another one. It still looks like there is not many laps to be set right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got Big C in the chat giving us some information. Thank you for that. Big C, he says that Edvin is serving a quali ban from F4. So that's why he's not participating. We've got 5 F4 drivers in today. So keep an eye on them to see how well they do here in F2. It's going to be quite the challenge. But with how close the divisions are in PSGL, I don't think they'll be too far off, if at all. They'll be sort of languishing around the midfields, maybe scrapping for 1 or 2 points if they get a good performance in. But with 20 drivers on the grid, getting points is a lot more difficult. SCI Jensen, the only driver out on track at the moment as he starts a lap down towards turn 1. One of the 4 drivers that is yet to set a lap that doesn't have a qualifying ban so far, and through turns 1 and 2 he goes. Nicely done, but a little wide on the exit is going to invalidate that one, so still no time on the board for SCI Jensen. And Jensen's sort of been one of the stragglers of F2 this season, again scrapping for the last few points paying positions most weeks, but yeah, he needs to at least get a lap on the board, you would think.
Yeah, he's only managed to score 9 points this season, an 8th in Italy and a 5th in Great Britain immediately after. And he's one of 4 drivers yet to set time, Richard, Jordan and Zane being the other 3 not being able to set a time. But yes, I completely forgot that F4 bans had to be served in another division, and that goes for any ban. We've got 10 minutes to go, but as we were saying, yes, Jensen, very unlucky on the second corner. It is very easy to invalidate on this course, especially with so many high-speed corners and a very small margin of error on pretty much everywhere on this track. We're quite strict track limits in this league, so very unfortunate, but he can always go again, which he is, I think. Is he? No, he won't be able to. I think maybe he hasn't realised, or he's just doing it for fun to see what he could have set. But he will have to go again. He's got in the tank. Yeah, that's a 0.5, so he'll have to scroll back to the pit lane. Sam is on a lap, though. He's the first to set a lap, and no one else is pretty much close in the papaya and black McLaren. I grew up with the chrome McLaren, and I love that livery. I saw it when I was at the British Grand Prix. So coming round towards the Degner curves, see how he tackles this. Pretty nice.
Yeah, nicely done there from Sam. A little bit of a squirm on the exit, but into the hairpin he goes now in that McLaren. Still technically a chrome livery if you count the sponsor on the side, but Sam coming down towards Spoon Curve now, the last braking zone of Sector 2. Gets down into it nicely, and very nice on the outside, using all of the circuit on the exit as well from QRT Sam. So this could be a decent lap if he can hook it together in the final sector. what's going to be 3 tenths up in the middle sector, so a huge improvement on the way for QRT Sam as long as he can nail the Casio triangle here. Down the gears, maybe a little wide of the first apex, but not too bad, and down towards the line. I don't think he'll have lost too much time if he has lost any. No, he's gained another 10th in fact, and gets himself into the top 4. What a lap from QRT Sam. Incredible stuff, and there's a lot of other drivers on laps right now, not least Max van der Geest in Sector 1. Let's see how Ivan Eskrig, he's on an out lap, so we'll ride on board with him in a minute or so. But Raphael on a lap, Christian starting one as well. But I'm just going to stay on board, I think, with Max van der Geest for now as he heads down towards the hairpin of this circuit. He's currently 1.5 tenths clear of anyone else. Sipala getting a good lap in to start with, as well as Nico, but none of them could compare to the Mercedes driver, who needs to find the top form that he had at the start of this season, and that invalidation is not going to help him at Spoon Corner. So 1:26.1 is going to remain his time for now. There's still plenty of time to go in the session, 7 minutes, so he will be able to get out again. But let's see how Sipala and Nico are doing. Nico's a 10.5 up in the middle sector, not quite enough to take provisional pole, but he does get himself back on the front row. So gauntlet is set down to Sipala, as Richard Vicker, by the way, has got himself into P4 as well. Here comes the Alpine driver, a 10th down in the middle sector. I don't think there's going to be an improvement coming for Sipala. So the pressure's on for Ivan Eskrig, though. Championship leader down in 12th place, Logan.
The championship leader, Ivan Eskrig, in 12th place. I was about to say, Sipala's down a quarter tenth on his first sector, and it got even more pear-shaped. He was down nearly a tenth in the second one, but even Eskrig's much faster on the second sector of this one. Half a tenth down in the first sector, but he might have made up in space this one. A 1:26.326. He improved on the third sector by 0.12 seconds, so that means he improves overall by just under 4 tenths, and it takes him up into 4th, ahead of his Red Bull teammate, VNT Richard Vicky.
It does indeed, yeah, and that's the lap that Ivan desperately needed in this session as well, getting himself into the mix now, because he would have been very worried sitting down there in 12th place. It was a lackluster opening lap from him, and he's been so impressive in qualifying all season as well, Ivan Eskrig, so it was a surprise to see him that far down on his first run. Plenty more laps to come in. Last Kramer, not least, as he comes in as Sauber. He's down in 8th place as well. Pressure's on for him. The times are still very close at this stage, but the Kick Sauber driver now through the final corner and down towards the start-finish line. It's a 26.3, improves by a tenth and splits the two Red Bulls, but is just behind the championship leader, Ivan Eskrig. Who have we got next? It's going to be Jordan, but he's not on a competitive lap time right now. What about Luca behind? He's invalidated, so not a lot of laps being done at the moment. Brian Amer's way down on his time. Sieber's invalidated as well. Jensen is invalidated again in Sector 1. So I don't think there's any laps going on right now. All the ones that were on have all been invalidated or messed up in some way.
Unfortunately, yes, and that brings us to another lull in this session, and with the yellow flags being everywhere, I can't see what the blooming time is left in the session. Let me just double check. I think it's... this is the problem. The yellow flag obscures the timing counter, and that is probably one of the cardinal sins of game development. I'm sorry. Hopefully for F1 26, the yellow flag does not obscure the lap counter or timer, as it would be much helpful for us commentators, and of course you watching at home, see how much time we've got left in the session, because I make it about 4 minutes, because they're going to be doing at least one more lap for sure. I think it's slow because we've got a lot of drivers going slow, and that definitely is not a yellow flag. That's more of a white flag, because in the real world you'd get a white flag for a small moving vehicle, and not a blue flag because you're not being lapped. Of course, it's qualifying. So no one on a lap, as we can see. So it looks like we are going to just wait out and see who is going to go out first. Remember, if you're last on the track, you have a bit of an advantage, not a big advantage, very minuscule. 3 minutes 25 seconds. There we go. You have a bit of a minuscule advantage, but it could work out in your favour depending on how you play out your lap.
Well, that makes every single driver in this session now in the pit lane. I can see some engineers getting their cars out there. There we go, Ferrari and a Red Bull heading out the circuit, and the Mercedes just behind as well. So finally things are getting back underway. But this little lull in proceedings gives me a chance to go through the championship standings at the moment. It is Ivan Eskrig who leads the way on 52 points. It's quite a low points tally for a championship leader at this stage, but there have been missed races and there's been a lot of inconsistency this season, which, I mean, it's always great to see for the neutral, isn't it? We always get fantastic championships when inconsistency is rife through the grid. But Ivan Eskrig has been the most consistent of them, 52 points, with Max van der Geest on 47, just 5 points behind. Then it's Lars Kramer on 45, and VNT Tom, who is sadly not here today, is in 5th place with 40 points. Astala also not here, so that's pretty much our main contenders. Lars Kramer, Max van der Geest and Ivan Eskrig, the top of the standings. And then in the constructors, if I could speak, Aston Martin are leading the way with a considerable gap to any teams behind. So that's the championship status at the moment. And I'll just give, just before we wait for a lap to get underway again, a quick shout out to our main sponsor, Sim Racing Setups. They offer some fantastic setups for you to use. And you can use the code PSGL for 5% off of all products at Sim Racing Setup, so do make sure you check them out. But Richard Vicker is going to be off to get a lap started, and Zane is ahead in Sector 1 as well, so right on board with him instead in the Ferrari, Logan.
Yeah, so Zane coming through the S's as we speak. I was going to say, didn't mean to interrupt you, Tom, but Astala has actually only started 3 races this season, and he's got 3rd in every one of them.
Yes.
That's the crazy stat of the season. But yeah, Zane coming through Degner now, still in bounds, so he's looking okay, heading to the hairpin. Time can be won and lost in this corner, but it looks like he's all good in the Scarlet Red Ferrari, the longest serving team in all of Formula 1. Everyone wants to race him, and Zane is right now coming through Spoon Curve.
Yeah, he is indeed. Sorry, Logan. He comes.
Sorry, no, go on.
No, he comes through. Very nicely done from Zane. So let's see what the sector time is through this middle sector. It's looking decent. It's 3 thousandths down, so he's practically identical to his previous lap. He needs to find some time in this final chicane now if he wants to get himself any further up the standings. Nicely done through both apexes, but a little loose on the exit for Zane. I don't know how much that will affect his time. He improves by 16 thousandths of a second and just about gets ahead of Sam for P7. The session is over, so all these laps are the final runs. Richard Vicker goes to 3rd place in his Red Bull. Plenty more laps to come. Max van der Geest is 1.5 tenths up in his Mercedes as he comes towards the last couple of corners into the chicane, but he invalidates Max van der Geest, so no lap for our current pole sitter, Christian, to P2. A huge lap from him. What can Sipala do in the Alpine? What can Ivan Eskrig do in the Red Bull? 1.5 tenths up. Can he find some time in this final chicane and get himself onto pole position? He's been struggling in this quali session so far, but has he found the pace at just the right time? Out the final corner and to the line. It's a 26-0 for the championship leader to get himself onto pole position. Incredible stuff from him. Lars Kramer's invalidated. He's going to be 8th at best, as Nico, last week's race winner, is 0.5 tenth up. Can he find one more tenth in the final sector, Logan?
Well, let's find out. Here he comes into the Casio Triangle. Where is this 10th coming from? Is it going to be enough? He could go above Christian, he could go above Van der Geest, but is he going to crack pole? The answer is no. He's only top 3. And just to mention, Jensen actually Jensen had a crash in Degner and will be starting right at the back, so Nasland actually has been promoted a place.
Well, there we go. Qualifying band starting 19th out of 20, but such is the way things go. Jensen having a very tough qualifying session, but Ivan Eskrig, well, it looked like he was going to have a tough qualifying session, down in 12th after the first runs, and then in the second run got himself into the top 5, but the third run was absolutely magnificent, and the championship leader takes home yet another pole position this season with a 26.079. Max van der Geest, the top 2 in the championship, line up on the front row. That's fantastic to see, with Nico in P3. What is this surge for the Belgian in the last few weeks? Christian for P4, then it's Richard Vicker, Sipala, Jordan, Lars Kramer, Zane and Sam, the top 10. And then the others having to settle in behind. Let's see who can spring a surprise. It's tough to overtake around this circuit, so that pole position is pretty crucial from Ivan Eskrig. But if Max van der Geest can get the jump on him at the start, it could turn into a very different race, Logan.
Absolutely, it could. So the top 2, excluding of course Evan Nye, has been promoted in in the top 2, the front row of the grid. I do believe we're getting started immediately. And then, of course, Nico, who is on 27, he won last week, of course. Christian just below him by 1 point in the standings on 4th. Richard Vicky, who's actually only just joined in Hungary, doing pretty well in 5th place, and Sipala on 6th place. But Lars Kramer down there in 8th place. He would have wanted better from that qualifying session. Of course, Tom's not here. Phil down in 12th.
Yeah, indeed. A poor session for Lars Kramer, and he's got a lot of work to do now. Max van der Geest is saying that he's choked pole position there. Well, it was only by 0.03 of a second. It was mighty close between the top 2 in the championship. But Ivan Eskrig ended up prevailing, and he's got some work to do to keep his championship rival behind into turn 1, but that's going to be the hard work. Then it'll just be about keeping him behind, or just sticking with him, maybe swapping positions a few times into turn 1 if they're feeling controlled in the first stint. But it's the second stint, I think, and the pit stop windows that are really going to spice this race up. When are both championship contenders going to make their pit stops? Who's going to get the undercut? Is anyone going to pit a little bit early to get the jump and sacrifice the worst tyres later on? Who knows? We'll have to find out, but we'll get underway fairly shortly. And, well, Logan, it's good to have you here in F2 today. And who do you think is primed for the win today?
Well, Ivan Eskrig and Van der Geest being the top 2 there, it will be pretty difficult to penetrate the front row in the early laps, but with the strategies, of course, opening up at the pit stops, could be in for a pretty exciting race. Pretty much any of these top contenders are in it to win it. Of course, we've seen stranger things. Of course, last week, Nico won, despite pretty much jumping in as coming out of pretty much nowhere after no podium all season, as we are still waiting here at the pit lane, one of the more unusual pit lane paddocks, pit lane buildings. It's on a slope, the track, the straight line. So as you can see, so is the pit building, and to pretty much level it out, they have to put little slopes on the pit lane boxes. So it is. And of course, you can see the pit hoardings are pretty much there. Here we go.
Here we go then. 3, 4, 5 red lights. And we're underway for the Japanese Grand Prix in PSF2. It's a fantastic start from pole for Ivan Eskrig. A terrible start from Max van der Geest. And Nico's already drawn alongside. Christian was having a look as well. Nico around the outside of turns 1 and 2. But Max van der Geest shows him the door and keeps P2 for now. Nico now under pressure from the Ferrari, but he holds that position. So the top 4 still in order. But in fact, the top 6 all in order. But Lars Kramer's already made up a position on Jordan further back. He's up to P7 and trying to challenge Sepala for P6. I will switch to tyres in a second, chat, don't you worry. But Brian Amers up to 15th. Great start from the Williams driver from 18th. But Ivan Eskrig, a perfect start, and Brian Amers making another position. Up to 14th now. Sieb with a horrible start, the worst start on the grid, down 9 places to last place, but he's still in the DRS train, thankfully for him. Let's have a look at tyres briefly. Most of the grid on the medium tyres, but we've got Sipala, Jordan, Zane and Zviadek going for a bit of an alternate strategy on the hard tyres. So let's see if that works out for them, but the main championship contenders, Logan, all on the mediums.
Yeah, a lot of action happening back there as well. Sieb has lost 9 positions. He had a horrible start. Lorenzinho has lost 2 positions. He was all over the shop and is now fallen back to second last. He's going for a move on Zviadek, heading into the Casio Triangle, and it looks like someone's went off. I think Raphael has went off and has went back down to 16th, and now he's going to get overtaken by his teammate, who's already up to P16. All that's happening back there, and Lars Kramer and M. Sipala have exchanged positions. Looks like Lars Kramer now advancing to 6th place from his 8th place start. Pretty good start from him. But yeah, all the action happening in the back, and it might not end anytime soon.
Fantastic from Lars Kramer. He's done exactly what he needed to do to start this race. He had 2 drivers on hard tyres ahead of him, and he's gotten both of them and stayed in the DRS of the top 5. It's a perfect start for Lars Kramer, exactly what he needed to do from that lackluster qualifying, and he's now up into the top 6, and all he needs to do now, stay within that 1 second of Richard Vicker. 8 tenths is the gap at the moment, but a better line through the hairpin should bring that down a little bit. No, not too much actually, so still 8 tenths. He's got to be careful through Spoon Curve, as if he loses the DRS, he could be in a world of trouble from the drivers behind in a few laps when those mediums start falling away from him. Because those hard tyres, they may not be as good at the moment, but they will come into play in a few laps time in this race and be relatively equal with the mediums for a while. But Ivan Eskrig, the perfect start for our pole sitter, 2 tenths ahead of Max van der Geest though, so the Mercedes driver looking to maybe make an overtake into turn 1. The Dirtier loses him a tenth or 2 through the Casio Triangle, but he's got the DRS now. I just don't think he's going to be able to make a move. He's too far behind, so I think it's going to be single file for now, and the pit stops or a mistake from any of these drivers in the front are going to be where this race starts to spice up.
Yeah, looks like Sieb has made a position on Zviadek. Zviadek now at the back of the pack. Lorenzinho's back to where he started. But it looks like the top 5 has remained the same. I did notice Ivan Eskrig was well ahead at the hairpin. He was 7 tenths ahead of Van der Geest, but then it decreased to 2 has. Oh no, it looks like we've lost Jensen from the session. Just give me a second, I'm actually going to try and invite him back.
Yeah, no worries. Absolutely go do that. Max van der Geest nearly into the back of Ivan Eskrig, into the hairpin. Big lock-up for the Mercedes, but he just about avoids crashing into his championship rival. But a little bit close between those two rivals there, and clearly the pressure's on for Ivan Eskrig to hold this position. Nico in there as well. He's a bit of a spoiler effect now, because these drivers have not had to deal with Nico pretty much all season, up until last week, where he took a shock race win, and it looks like he's here to stay at the front of the field, at least here in Suzuka as well, because he's got some fantastic pace in qualifying and the race. I do notice he has switched teams as well. He's got a different prefix on his username in the left hand side of the screen, so maybe that has had something to do with his recent surge in results. But whatever way it's happened, he'll be very happy with proceedings, as Phil now makes a move on TRT Zane. Those hard tyres struggling on the Ferrari, and the Haas driver up into 9th place, but just over a second away from Jordan. He needs to gain that time back to get in DRS range. He's done that for now, but he's got to keep it all the way down to the end of the lap.
I'm afraid I can't seem to get Jensen. I've just got a message from Jensen in the Discord. He has said there's a power cut on his end. That is very unfortunate. That's the equivalent of like an engine failure in this game, and it's just so bad to see. And he's fallen to the very back and is falling further back. I'll tell you who is falling further back. Lorenzinho is now 1.2 seconds behind his nearest challenger, Raphael, but that's going to get cut down because Sieb is now 2.7 seconds behind Lorenzinho, and it's falling away even quicker, but everyone else within 1 second of each other, so they'll get that DRS on down the front stretch.
Yeah, Sieb, Zviadek, and, well, of course, Jensen, but he's not currently in the session. So Sieb and Zviadek, the two drivers who have fallen out of this big, long DRS train on lap 4 already, so not a good start for those two drivers. And Sieb and Zviadek have been sort of scrapping for decent points all season, so it is a bit surprising to see them that far back already in this session, but that is the way things go, and maybe a track they don't like too much, maybe they've got damage, maybe something else happened that we didn't see, but a horrible start for them, and they'll be hoping for a safety car really to bring them back into this. And Lorenzinho not having much better luck, also dropping out of DRS range at the moment. Zane also struggling on those hard tyres right now. He's going to be under heavy pressure from the two McLarens behind if he doesn't get that DRS back at the end of this lap. Those hard tyres still struggling. That's a mistake from Phil just ahead that might help him a little bit, but yeah, it's a tough time for those hard tyres on the Ferrari right now. Sepala and Jordan seem to be coping an awful lot better with those white wall tyres so far.
Yeah, I've been trying to invite Jensen. It won't let me. It says open a multiplayer game. It just won't seem to let me open it. I've sent him a friend request so Steve can do it through in the game, but it doesn't look very good for Jensen. Unfortunately, now 8.5 seconds behind. Do sincerely apologise. I've tried everything I could, but it has not let me invite you. Terribly sorry, mate. Max van der Geest, look how close he is to Ivan Eskrig. And everyone else not too far behind either. Is there going to be a move or two coming down the front stretch? Let's find out. Max van der Geest has got the DRS. It looks like Evan S. Craig is going to have no choice but to give him the position, and there it is. Our new leader, Max van der Geest.
Yeah, great move from Van der Geest there. He's been sniffing around for that move all race long so far. He's definitely looked to be the faster of the two race leaders so far, and he's now got the chance to go ahead and prove it in clean air. Ivan Eskrig 6 tenths behind already after Sector 1, and of course it's not just about raw pace here. He's also got to get used to driving in dirty air, because he hasn't had to do that so far this race. And so he's got to adapt very quickly to avoid having a catastrophic drop out of DRS. But he's done that so far. Still 7 tenths the gap though, and Max van der Geest stretching his legs now in the lead of this race. Ivan under pressure from Nico, doesn't seem to have the best race pace, but the three of them are also trying to break away from the Ferrari of Christian, who's 9 tenths behind himself. And through Spoon Curve he goes. It gains a bit of time through there, but Ivan Eskrig, look at this. We saw Max van der Geest getting within 3 tenths of the Red Bull driver at this section of track the last few laps, but Ivan not even within 8 tenths, 8.5 as he comes to the Casio Triangle, 9 tenths through it, out up to over a second briefly, but I think that was Max braking too late for that last braking zone, and Ivan gets back in range. But I think this is going to be a struggle for the Red Bull. Max seems to be clearly the quicker of the two.
Yeah, and notice they've not got much battery left either, but it looks like that even Eskrig is starting to struggle out there with Van der Geest ahead, and it's starting to look even bigger. Lap 7 off 27 here, 153 kilometers off racing here at the legendary Figure of 8 Suzuka circuit. I do believe, yeah, apart from that, the 3rd, 4th and 5th remain the same. As you can see, there's carbon fibre confetti being dished up. I don't know if that's just a game bug or something. Nothing too major anyway. It's not going to affect the race one bit at Degna Curve. Yes, 7.5 tenths. This is looking huge for Van der Geest. Even Eskrig struggling to close up. In fact, Nico is closing up, is pretty much half the distance from between him and Ivan than it is to Van der Geest and Ivan. It is not looking good for Ivan, but stranger things have happened.
Indeed they have, and well, even Esquig 7 tenths behind at this stage from the Mercedes. He's just about staying in DRS, but you get the sense that he's having to work a lot harder to stay in range than Max was, to stay in range of him when they were swapped the other way around. I think they both take slightly different lines through the Casio triangle, or maybe Max has just had a poor braking zone for that corner the last couple of laps, because the gap seems to jump up into the braking zone and then close back down again on the exit. As Luca, meanwhile, makes the next overtake of the evening as he gets past Zane for P10. Finally, that struggling Ferrari does lose the place to the McLaren, and well, he's not having a good time on those hard tyres and maybe beginning to regret starting on those white wall tyres at this stage. Hello to Indigo in the chat. I'm doing well, thank you, and I'm sure Logan is as well. But
yep.
The hard tyres of Sepala and Jordan still going strong at this stage, and in fact, at this part of the race, lap 8 of 27, I think those hard tyres should be starting to come into their own now, Logan.
Yeah, absolutely. The mediums aren't really designed to travel as long as the hards, so I think the mediums are going to be starting to feel the force and feel like they're going to be crying for grip. Meanwhile, the hards are just comfortably in their stride. Lap 8 of 27, I think pretty much half the race, maybe more, these hard tyres will go for, and then they'll pretty much switch on to the mediums, you'd imagine. Sipala is leading the hard tyre race by half a second ahead of Jordan, and he's just within touching distance of Lars Kramer, who started in... Oh, a slide from Sipala! That will not help his cause, and now looks like Jordan will have an opportunity to get ahead, but I think he may run out of room as Christian making a move on the inside. They clash wheels with Nico, and through he goes into the top 3 now, but that's going to cost him a lot of time. He's over a second behind Ivan.
Wow, a very risky move there from Christian. He's made it stick, and there was a bit of wheel banging, but he is ahead. But now the gap over a second, that's the risk you take going for a move at this circuit. You can lose the DRS, and you can end up losing more than if you just stayed behind. He goes wide as Degner 1 as well, trying desperately to stay in range of the top 2, but I don't know if he has the pace to do this. Through the hairpin, he needs to get a good exit here. 9 tenths, but it's back up to 1.2 on exit. And this is going to be a real struggle for TRT Christian, and this could be the time that the top 2 in the championship break away as the top 2 in this race as well. Thanks to that move from Christian, and going very wide at Spoon is not going to help him either. He's trying so hard to get back in DRS range, but he's not got a lot of ERS left either. He's slowly running out down towards 130R, and Nico will be furious in that cockpit, knowing that he was comfortably staying in DRS at the top 2, in fact challenging Ivan really at points on the circuit, but now a daring move from Christian has dropped them both out of DRS of that top 2.
Yeah, and Evan Nasland actually is having a clash with Raphael.
Richard Vicker, sorry to interrupt you, Logan, down the inside of turn 1 on Nico, and that's 2 places in 2 laps lost for the Aston Martin driver. He will not be happy in that cockpit at all. He was perfectly comfortable where he was in 3rd, but now a risky move from Christian has dropped him to 4th, and now he's been sort of caught napping by Richard Vicker, who cleverly used his ERS to get past into turn 1. We've got the first pit stops already from Raphael, Edvin and Lorenzino onto those hard tyres. Sorry, back to you, Logan.
Yeah, well, that was what I was about to say, actually. The 3 drivers have pit for hard tyres. Raphael, Nasland and Lorenzino. That will go 18 laps to the end of the race. Looks like the drivers already on the hard tyres from the start. The get-go will hit pretty much the opposite side, so 2/3 within the race. That might be a warning sign for the top drivers to start pitting, and maybe one of them will try and undercut.
Yeah, maybe so. And, well, this gap between the top 9 and TRT Zane has come down a little bit. The Ferrari driver now starting to stretch his legs on those hard tyres. But, of course, the mediums will come in first. Will we see any of the race leaders coming in at this stage? Max van der Geest stays out,
Yes.
as does Ivan Eskrey, but Christian comes in. Richard Vicker staying out as well, which is interesting because as the second Red Bull driver at the moment, he will have to double stack if they pit on the same lap, so he's going to have to go even further in this one, probably another 2 laps. So a big undercut that he's going to lose. Thanks to that, but Christian onto the hard tyres, as is Ars Kramer in the Kicksauber, and they drop all the way down. Where is Brian Amers going to be in relation to them? I think he's going to be too far behind to make any overtakes. He gets past Luca, but that is about it. He's just behind Phil as they all come out the pits. So clear air for Christian, and that's exactly what he would have wanted to see. 9 seconds in front of him, and he can really start stretching his legs on these hard tyres now and try and consolidate what was a net podium position, and maybe start getting after Ivan and Max as well.
Yes, absolutely. So the top 3, or well, the top 2, I should say, have just been fired the warning shot at them. Vicker, as well, as I'd probably say in that group as well, he was challenging Nico and got past, and wasn't too far behind Christian either. They will all be realising, we might be in a bit of trouble. I think we should pit soon. So was Van der Geest do? I think he should be pitting this lap, but we'll see what he does. He may have other options available to him. So through it comes, and yes, it is going to be the pits for both drivers. And that means Richard Vicker will have to stay out. He avoids double stack and will now be the temporary new leader. But Sepala is like, no, I'll not let you have that. I'll take the lead, thank you. And he goes into the lead. Oh, and Benjamin speeds in the pit lane. That will cost him 10 seconds. And I'm afraid, unless... Well, actually, no, it can be removed, but I don't think it's me getting removed. Because I think that it's almost impossible to get the speeding in the pit lane one removed. Well, he could be pushed off into the pit lane, but it is pretty unlikely when that happens. If there's another safety car, he'd have to pit and have to serve it, so it wouldn't matter. Anyway, I thought we saw a spinner there. Thank goodness we didn't. That's probably just me. Oh, and Viadex went all right off. And
Richard
no!
Vicker out! What has happened there? What has happened there, Logan?
Richard, and Zane's got a penalty, which I think is a pretty unfair one, and that's surely, it's a safety car. Richard Vicker had a slide out of Degna and then got very unlucky, ran into Zane. That was no fault of Zane's own at all. He was just very unlucky, and that's a safety car, and this is going to be bad for those who just pit. This is going to be a lifeline, especially for Sviatek. Sviatek, who started from the back, or near the back, is going to get a free pit stop here.
Huge news for the top 5 in this race now, especially I think the likes of Sepala as well. It's a bit early to be going on the mediums. Well, I did more than a bit, really.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
But it's still going to be very difficult. It's going to be difficult to get them to the end, but it is going to be difficult to pass as well on this circuit. Sepala comes in for the medium tyres, no doubt, as do Jordan, as does Jordan. I'm sure Zane as well. Well, he's got to come in to replace that non-existent front wing. Jensen needs an invite again. He's in the chat, Logan, so if you could try one more time to try and get him back in the session. Sepala's gone for the softs, though, meanwhile, so he is committing to a 2-stop. There's no way he gets them to the end from here, surely. Jordan does come out in the mediums as we expected. Zane is going to have to serve that 10-second penalty. That's gutting for the Ferrari driver. So unfortunate to be getting a penalty for that.
Very unfair.
In the game. Yeah, absolutely. But Sepala's going to lead the way on soft tyres, which... I mean, if he gets those to the end, he is a complete miracle worker. There's just no way. Surely not. But Jordan on the mediums, I think, is a lot more reasonable of a shot to get those to the end. But it's still going to be tough. I think later in this race, those tyres are going to be in a pretty bad shape. Whereas Max van der Geest on those fresh hards and Ivan just behind are going to be out for blood because they both know how important this could be for the championship. Every point counts, especially at this late stage of the season. And Ivan Eskrey defending a 5-point lead. He won't want to give up the championship lead today. And Max van der Geest, if he senses an opportunity to take it, he absolutely will. And I think I don't know if him and Jordan are going to be working together on this. I believe Jordan is just a stand-in today, so I'm not sure they're going to be working really expressly together as teammates. So I think Max van der Geest is going to have to do this the old-fashioned way.
So this means Msipala leads ahead of Jordan, ahead of Van de Geest, ahead of Iskrig. Sviadek is now up to 10th with medium tyres. Now, it's a bit earlier for the hard runners to pit, but remember, they're not going to be doing that much wear under the safety car, so it totally makes sense why you should pit, because it's not going to use up much of the energy in that tyres. So I think these medium tyres will get to the end. Actually, there's some of them in the pit for hards, and Pala's in again. Is he trying for an exploit? Oh, I think I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to go on either that, or he has made a mistake. He's going back on the hards. He might have went on the wrong tyre, perhaps.
Yeah. Personally, I think much more likely explanation is this is a mistake. He did not mean to select the soft tyres. And he's had to come back in for a fresh set of hards. I mean, he will be able to do this now because he's done a lap on the soft, but there's no way he meant to do that, because going all the way back down to 17th, it's just not worth it. You've got to pit for the mediums in his situation and try and get them to the end. It's tough, but it's possible. And it would just have been a matter of keeping the other drivers behind and using Jordan as a sort of roadblock, as it were. But yeah, that's really unfortunate for Sepala. I do think that is just a mistake, or you know, who knows what's happened there. But he's definitely not meant to put on the soft tyres, I believe. And now all the way down to 17th. That is absolutely gutting. Safety car was at a decent time, not a perfect time for him, but decent. And well, that's now just completely ruined what was a very promising looking race for him. He's of course still chances, you never know what can happen. 13 and a half laps left to go, and we'll have plenty of green flag racing, you never know, but I think even points are going to be tricky for the Alpine driver now.
Oh, absolutely. So it has sent him right to the back. He was in 6th to start, now he's down to 17th. He's got it all to do, and it's on the hard tyre. So, did he start on mediums in Sepala?
No, he started on hards. He started on hards.
Oh, so he's went hard, and the safety car's coming in this lap. He went hard, soft, hard. Interesting.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think he meant to go on the softs. I think he was wanting to go on the mediums, but however it happened, but we're underway again. Here we go. Max van der Geest with a shaky restart. Jordan gets away well, but Ivan not able to capitalise on that little moment for Max. But Lars Kramer already on the attack on Nico and the Aston Martin. He looks to the inside of turn 1, but he's not quite close enough. Nico fends him off. But Lars Kramer knows he has to gain positions here. He's had a pretty lackluster race so far. He had a good start after a poor quali, but now he's going to be struggling to make any more inroads in this one, and he might well end up losing out in the points today to Ivan and Max. But at the moment, it's Jordan who leads by 8/10 from Max van der Geest, who's going to be struggling these opening couple of laps to stay in that DRS range. But it's vitally important, if I could speak once again, vitally important that he does stay in the DRS, because otherwise he could be under pressure from Ivan Eskrig, although the Red Bull driver has looked to be the slower of the two, as Luca makes a surprise move in the hairpin on IRTC. We didn't quite see that move in the moment, but we saw the aftermath, and Luca with a great move to get himself into the top 10 and the points paying positions here.
Yep, and Edwin Naslund has been battling with Lorenzinho. He's lost it. He's actually went wide at the spoon curve, and that's allowed his teammate Msipala to get through. He has a fresher set of tyres than both Naslund and Lorenzinho, and he's going to try and get ahead of Lorenzinho. Battles ahead of him, though, and it looks like that Sam is going to try and get his head in. Oh, and see if he's unable to. And what's just happened?
Sipala going way too deep into the Casio triangle, trying to overtake Lorenzino. He's gained the position anyway, but I think the Kick Sauber driver is going to be really unhappy with how the way in which he's done it. But Sipala, nonetheless, on track, is up into 15th place. Zviadek has gotten past Brian Amers into 8th on those fresh mediums, and that's what he needs to do. He's got to make progress at this stage because he's going to be struggling towards the end of the race. Meanwhile, Jordan has pulled out over a second to his teammate Max van der Geest, but only just, as Ivan Eskrig tries to stay with his championship rival as well. Christian desperately trying to stay in DRS range as well. He is also struggling in the Ferrari as Nico is right up behind him at this stage. Lars Kramer has also had a bad lap, 1.1 behind Nico, and these hard tyres have really spread out the field in a way that the mediums on the first stint did not. But Max doing what he needs to do right now. 9.5 tenths. Is it going to be enough? It is. 8.5 should be enough to get him in DRS range at the detection point, which is just after 130R here. And Lorenzino becomes the second victim today of track limits. And I would be surprised if he was the last.
Yeah, I would be surprised as well. So the lead is now cut down to 8 tenths actually, so Van der Geest closing, and he has the DRS on his teammate. Further back, I don't see much fighting for position, so it looks like, and Sipala's got a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, not what you want to be having, especially if you are trying to make your way up the order after a crucial error, and it looks like Lorenzino has let Benjamin through. Benjamin has a penalty to his name, a 3-second penalty. Not sure. Yeah, he must have served the 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Oh,
what have we just seen?
Sorry to interrupt you, Logan. Edvin and Raphael were battling through the S's. They were side by side, and Edvin Nasland was sent spinning around after a bit of contact between them. I think it was through turn number 5 where they made the contact, but that is disappointing for Edvin Nasland, who was already having a tough race, and he's now well out of the DRS train. He'll not be a happy driver inside that cockpit at all. Meanwhile, towards the front, it is Jordan who continues to lead, but Max van der Geest has managed to close back the gap. And I think Ivan Eskrig here is outmatched in terms of pace against Max van der Geest today. 10.5 laps left to go, so anything can still happen. You never know, he might get a mistake from the Mercedes driver, but I think Ivan has got to target second place here, and to do that he has to get past Jordan as soon as he can before the end of this race. It looks like he's got the pace to fend off Christian, but I think it's all going to be about that stand-in Mercedes driver who's going to be a spoiler effect to the two championship contenders today. And meanwhile, the Haas drivers swap further back. Zviadek making up another position, and Luca also making up another position after his daring overtaking the hairpin a few laps ago. He's now up to P9, getting past Brian Amers in turn 1.
Yes, Luca making up those positions very quickly. He's now passed both Williams drivers, but he's now 1.5 seconds behind 2 Haas drivers. Phil is his next opponent if he manages to get that. That is. Looking at the top 5, looks like Christian is not within DRS range of Ivan, and he's got Nico right behind him for company again. So these two are going to be fighting for the fourth position now, as Jordan's still at that, trying to hang on to that lead, but with the medium tyres wearing it sooner than the hards, as there's a big battle happening for P11, which pays a total of 0 points. But, of course, Brian Emers will be after that, so it could be for a point. In fact, Brian is starting to be chased by Siebes, so it might be for the point, actually. So all guns blazing for these guys. Sam looking for the move, and he's got a lot of speed coming into 130R, but I think the lead could be changing hands.
It could well do. I think Max van der Geest, though, just a little bit too far back to make a move into turn 1 this time. But Brian Amer's now the latest victim of the white lines, and that spices up the battle for the last point even more as Sipala comes into the pits to retire, as does Raphael. So 2 retirements in quick succession there. Yeah, there's a titanic battle for 10th place going on, which you love to see. That last point is really important to these drivers, especially I think the F4 reserve of Sam is going to be really looking for that point. Not too bad going to get yourself a point in F2. On a race, especially at a track as difficult as Suzuka and demanding as this circuit. But Jordan still leads the way towards the front meanwhile. Max van der Geest not able to make any moves, but remember, he's just got to lie in wait. Those medium tyres will not last forever, and towards the end of this race they're going to really start to be struggling for grip, and Jordan is going to be very vulnerable. So it's all going to be, like I said, about whether Ivan can get past him as well, because I think Max will get him at some point, but it depends on how late into the race he does get him, because if he gets him in the last couple of laps, it's going to be tough for Ivan to size up a move before the end, and he could end up losing crucial points against his championship rival. Christian has also gotten back into DRS range to give Ivan something to look behind at as well. And here comes Max for the lead of the race, round the outside. It's a very simple move, and he's done it on lap 20. So that gives Ivan plenty of opportunity to follow him through before the end of this race.
And Seb has taken over from his teammate and has now got into the points. Now Brian Emer's will be fighting for his life. Oh, Sam was thinking about it in the S's. But now, I should also mention, Svardek is now up to 6th. He is now ahead of Lars Kramer and is now chasing for Nico, who is 1.5 seconds ahead. He started in 15th and is now on course for 5 points. Oh, what a slide though.
Yeah, those tyres are going to be starting to struggle at this stage. We've already seen it from Jordan. Oh, but there's a mistake from Ivan Eskrid by the looks of things. He's lost a huge amount of time in the last couple corners to Jordan. 1.1 seconds is now the gap. So panic stations perhaps for the championship leader. He's got some work to do. He's got to defend from Christian as well, but I think he's effectively doing that so far. But Max van der Geest, I think he's looking to cruise to a race victory here. It's all going to be about how many points does Ivan lose to him. Will it be 4 points and allow him to retain his championship lead, or actually, excuse me, 3 points due to the pole position point? Or will it be more than that? Will he lose his championship lead today, Ivan Eskrig? Fastest lap from Max van der Geest. Jordan staying in DRS of him crucially at the moment, and the 2 Mercedes working well to keep Ivan at bay. 1.3, and Ivan's got to hope for those medium tyres to die off sooner rather than later.
Yeah, so Van der Geest still your leader ahead of Jordan, but now Ivan, who started as the pole sitter, is going to get a point regardless, so that's insurance there, but you want that win so bad. So bad. And Nico is actually challenging Christian for 4th, but it doesn't look like there's much else happening. Some drivers within about half a second, but Sam is starting to close up to the penalised Brian already. Maybe after Degner? Oh, and there's that's Edwin Nasland again, and he's in the wall. Jensen is still disconnected, but now Nasland's further down the order. Back to Sam now, and he's right on touching distance of Brian. Coming in the hairpin, nearly goes into the back of him, but is still trailing in 12th place. He needs to get past if he wants to challenge C, because now he's separated from him by 2 seconds.
Edvin's misery sort of piling on this evening with a spin in the S section. I wouldn't be surprised to see another early retirement in this one at the end of this lap, but kudos to him if he does keep going. Max van der Geest now has pulled out a 1 second margin to his teammate for today, but it's just about DRS still for Jordan. He must have just about had it at the detection point a few corners ago, but you have to think the time is coming soon where Jordan loses touch of Max van der Geest, and Ivan Eskrig is going to be looking for that moment and hoping to get past this other Mercedes to get himself into 2nd place. I think that's probably going to be the maximum he can do today, unless we get some more late drama in this race. So it's all the pressure on the championship leader, because if he finishes third today, he loses the championship lead to Max van der Geest. But if he finishes second, he will still be leading the way by only 1 or 2 points going into the last 3 rounds. But it can really make a difference mentally compared to leading the championship and not leading, even if it's only a couple of points either way. It can get in your head, and being a couple points down can feel very different to being a couple points ahead.
Yes, it absolutely could. So there's championship implications in this race as it stands, and it would be great news for Van der Geest if he could stay like this, because he will have his 3rd win of the season, and despite being tied on countback, those 3 wins would mean he has the championship lead. And he only started 6 of these 9 races, which is crazy. I should actually go back to the current battle for P11 happening right now, which is Brian pretty much defending from anyone getting close to his teammate up in 10th. So it seems to be working. 5 laps to go, by the way, and seems actually to get past Luca here. So this could help the drivers behind get closer, because here comes his teammate Sam, the other McLaren, and Brian, my goodness, defending a volley's got, and he's pushed him off. That might come to the steward's office if he feels necessary. That was a bit over the top in my opinion, but of course stewards are to decide that, and it keeps Brian Amos in 11th and Sam in 12th.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an element of protecting his teammate here from Brian Amos. He wants to make sure that Sieb finishes this race in either 9th or 10th, and letting other faster drivers through is not going to help his teammates' cause. So Brian doing everything he can to keep them behind. Lorenzino making a move into the hairpin on Benjamin in the Aston Martin, and the Kicksauber does get through, but he's wide on the exit, and Benjamin back through. I think Lorenzino let him through there, actually. Does he have damage? He does. Front right end plate damage to that Kicksauber, so I don't think points are really on the cards for him. But meanwhile at the front though, Ivan Eskrid right behind Jordan. Look at the gap to Max van der Geest, 2.6. Those medium tyres hanging on by a thread, and we've still got 4 laps to go at the end of this one. So it's crunch time now for Ivan Eskrid, but I think he's too far behind. It's a poor exit out of the Casio triangle, and indeed he stays behind Jordan for another lap, and that is going to cause him some problems from behind as well. Lars Kramer meanwhile getting past Viaduct for P6. Crucial move for him. He needs as many points as he can get. He needs to limit the damage to his championship hopes today after what has been a fairly lackluster race for him. But Ivan Eskrig now under heavy pressure. He's got to clear this Mercedes, but he's also got to be wary of this Ferrari behind, because Christian, he may not be directly in the championship battle, but he is absolutely going to be hungry for a podium in this race, as is Nico behind, looking to continue the momentum from his surprise race win last week.
Yeah, oh, and there's a slide from Luca. That won't help his cause, trying to get back ahead of Sieb. So now he is 9 tenths down. There's still the battle for 11th going on, and it's well too far for Brian Amos to catch Luca and anyone behind him as well. And the top 2, it looked like it could be a Mercedes 1-2. If Jordan can hold on, the gap is now 3.6 seconds, surely insurmountable. Unless we have some late drama, but I don't think data car can come out if there's a crash now. So pretty much could just about seal the deal, assuming he keeps it on track and doesn't have anything hindering him, such like a puncture. No, he'll be perfectly fine. Jordan really struggling. Can Ivan finally get ahead to keep his championship lead? No, he cannot. And Phil and Firedeck swapped positions, it seems. So I don't think Firedeck's getting any higher in this race. Still, P8 getting 3 points from this would be pretty good considering where he started.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He's in a decent position right now. Those medium tyres are going to be struggling, but he's only got to do another 3 laps on them. to get himself to the end and secure some decent points from 15th on the grid. But I think he's going to come under some heavy pressure from Sieb at the end of this race, and I'd honestly be surprised if he holds on to that P8. It would be a great job, but the way Jordan is holding on to P2 right now might give him some inspiration, because this is incredible defending from the Mercedes driver. Ivan Eskrig just cannot find a way through. The championship leader in peril here, because he won't be leading the championship anymore if he doesn't clear this Mercedes. Max van der Geest looking to cruise to his third win of the season, but Ivan under heavy pressure to get this move done. He needs a good exit out of the Casio Triangle, which is the very next chicane coming up. Can he get it? On the brakes, a lock up from the Mercedes ahead, but Ivan's wide of the first apex, gets on the second nicely, but can he get the power down in time? He's got plenty down, he's got the DRS, he's as close as he's ever been to this Mercedes. Can he finally get through on lap 26? Ivan Eskrig pulls to the outside. Jordan leaves him as little room as he possibly can, and once again defends the position. Ivan Eskrig just cannot find a way past this Mercedes. He's got to leave it until the very last lap, but that's very, very risky on his part. He's got about a 25% ERS advantage, so that is going to be to his favour down towards turn 1 for the final time, but this is leaving it very, very late, Logan, and Ivan Eskrig in real danger of not leading this championship after this race.
Yeah, and Christian could still get his nose into this battle too, with Nico as well there. Can he find anything at the hairpin? Oh, Christian, I think, did he hit him there?
I think so.
Did he hit him? He's got a bad exit out of the hairpin. Fastest lap, doesn't matter, there's no more fastest lap point in this series, I think. Just the pole position point, indeed, which I like. But yeah, even still trying to get so close to him, he can't do it. Oh, and that's a wide exit from Jordan. Surely he's got to make the move here. Christian, interested observer, coming through to 130R. He's going to go for it now. He has to go for it now. No, he doesn't. Out. He's backing out. Jordan has a slide into the triangle.
Oh, and a slide from Ivan as well on the exit, and this could be crucial. Can Jordan hold on? Can Christian make a move here? The Ferrari driver right behind the Red Bull. Ivan's not close enough. Oh, there's a very late defensive move from Ivan Eskrig to keep Christian behind. But what a job that Jordan's done to keep him behind on that run to turn 1. Ivan's last chance is going to be straight towards the Casio Triangle. We've got contact further back. Benjamin and Zane swapping positions, but Ivan Eskrig right behind the Mercedes. Zane out the race at turn 2, but Ivan Eskrig now, he's got all the pressure on. He needs a great exit out of Spoon Curve to try and challenge the Mercedes for P2. Christian right behind as well, looking to pick up the pieces if anything goes wrong. But in fact, he's going for a move into the hairpin, dives to the inside. Ivan has to cover off, and that compromises his exit as well. He's going to be frustrated, is the Red Bull driver. 4 tenths is the gap. Can he get this Mercedes before the end? Can Christian pounce as well? Lars Kramer's been brought into this too, so if anything does go wrong, it's good news for him as well. But Max van der Geest, 7.5 seconds clear, is going to comfortably win this race in the end. What a flawless drive it's been from him for his 3rd win of the season. But Ivan Eskrig right behind Jordan. He's going to go for it into the Casio Triangle, finds the outside line, brakes as late as he dares, goes around the outside. He's going to be the inside for the next corner. He gets the move done in the final corner. Ivan Eskrig to P2. Jordan just about holds on for the podium from Christian by 600ths of a second, but it was do or die from the championship leader, and Ivan Eskrig absolutely did it. What a move at the final corner of the last lap to keep his championship lead, Logan.
Yeah, what a move. It took real guts. Jordan just could not hold on at the end. And Ivan Eskrig he didn't win the race, but he manages to get that position, and with that pole position point, he is now on 65 points. Van der Geest on 63. And Max van der Geest, well, he's happy to win, but he's not really happy with Jordan preventing the 1-2. Jordan says, thought you want to work together, Max. But yes, Lars, did he finish sixth? If he
Did.
did, then that would put him on 50 points. Yes, 50 points.
So he'll be a little way back with 3 rounds to go. It's all about Max and Ivan, who finished this race 1 and 2, but in the opposite order to where they qualified. Jordan with a brilliant podium for P3. What a drive from him. Christian in 4th. He'll be disappointed to miss out on the top 3. Nico in P5, continuing his form from last week with Lars Kramer, Phil, Sieb, Zviadek holding on to 9th, but he did get passed by the Williams, and Luca holds on for a point in PSF2 in his McLaren. Whoa, what a race that was. That was nail-biting all the way to the end. Ivan Eskrig with an incredibly brave move around the outside on the run to the Casio Triangle to get the move done on the inside of the final corner. Incredible stuff from our championship leader, who will remain so going into the last 3 rounds. It's with Lars now going to be 15 points behind, or 14, something like that. He has now got a
15.
lot of work to do. Yeah, 15. Thank you, Logan. He's really on the back foot now in this championship, and he needs a couple of very strong performances to really mount a challenge once again. But at the moment, we're all going to be talking about the battle between Ivan Eskrig and Max van der Geest. Fantastic racing between the two of them today. And, well, Jordan did his absolute best, but Ivan Eskrig, you can't argue with a move like that. Incredible stuff from him.
Brilliant.
Who was... I like to give, if I have a sort of guest co-commentator on, or a reserve co-commentator, I give the driver of the day decision to you, Logan. Who does it go for you?
Oh, I'd probably have to say here, Van der Geest, he drove right away from the pack after the safety car, and he just couldn't seem to be caught, and he managed to utilise his teammate as a defence mechanism to keep everyone away, and I think they just worked in tandem very well. Jordan was not having any of it from Ivan Eskrig. Yeah, he got overtook at the last corner, but Max put out a drive there. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean he leads the championship yet. Of course, there are 3 rounds to go, but that pass from Ivan could be the difference in the championship. But of course, 3 rounds to go. We'll see if it is. Is it Vegas next?
It is, I believe, Vegas next. So
then Brazil and Mexico.
Yes, indeed. So Vegas, Brazil, and Mexico are going to be a tough challenge, I think, especially Vegas for the drivers next week. And we could have some big changes in the championship, because Vegas is a track, in my experience, Logan, I don't know about you, but it's a track that can really spring some major surprises, particularly towards the end of championship seasons. So let's see what happens if we get some magnificent 4-wide moments on the Las Vegas Strip in the last lap. We can only hope. But thank you all very much for watching. I'm just looking in the what I refer to as the paddock, otherwise known as the Discord, at the moment, and Jordan doesn't seem particularly happy with Ivan's move at the last corner, so there may be some stewards reviews going on, and we'll update you on those next week if anything does occur. But I mean, there's definitely from a couple of weeks ago, there's got to surely be a bit of a grudge between Max van der Geest and Ivan Eskrig, because I think I've never seen that many reports for track limits against one person from someone who wasn't even racing 2 weeks ago from Max van der Geest. So he is really in it to win it this season, and he will get out every trick in the book to do it. So he is going to be a feisty competitor in these last 3 rounds. Logan, do you have any parting words before we sign off for tonight?
Well, it's been one heck of a race. Gonna get my Elvis suit on, get my shades on, get ready for Vegas. If I can, that is, of course. Might not be able to, but I should be around if needed be. Should be. So if we do see you, I'll do see you next week, whatever division it may be.
Yeah, absolutely. Nathan, unfortunately, was held up in work today, but it's been a pleasure to have you in the box, Logan, and
No worries.
thank you for joining us today. So, we'll be back next week for Las Vegas as this championship really reaches the business end. Just 2 points in it between our top two contenders. And with Max van der Geest on top form, Ivan Eskrig is going to have to work very hard to defend that slender lead in these final 3 rounds. But thank you all ever so much for watching and commenting in the chat. Always great to have you all. And make sure to go ahead and watch the F1 and F3 streams that are happening right now as well. So go ahead and give them our love. But in the meantime, just a very quick final shout out to our sponsors, Sim Racing Setups. They do many setups for you to try on the F1 games and beyond. So make sure you give them a try. Use the code PSGL for 5% off of all their products. But thank you all ever so much for watching once again. Thank you to Logan again for joining me in the box. And we'll see you all next week for Vegas. So it's goodbye from me.
Yeah.
And goodbye from Logan. not quite there yet. But,
Are we clear?
No, you're all good, man.
All right. Oof. What a finish that was.
No, all good. Thank you for joining me, Logan, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
All right.